So welcome, Ben.
Thank you very much, Karen. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's my absolute pleasure. Ben, I am so in love with the Roulettes. I absolutely love you guys. And I know that sounds a bit creepy, a bit stalkery, but I can't help myself.
Yeah, look, to be honest, you're not the only one. Like, we travel around Australia now. We get around the country because COVID's opened everything up. And the people that come out and meet us and say g'day, it's just incredible how taken back, I guess, people are by the roulette display team. So it's really cool to see, and it's something awesome to be a part of.
Oh, it's magic. I think it's that kind of it's almost like you're unreachable, because you're just doing such magnificent stuff. I know you're just ordinary people, but you get a little bit starstruck. It's kind of like, how do they do that? How do they? I don't know. I admire you because I could never freaking do that at all. Well, of course I can't fly, but I'd be shitting my pants.
Yeah, look, it's certainly not unreachable. That's the first thing that I'll say. It's not, and exactly right. We are just ordinary people, but each of us have done a fair bit of hard work to get to where we've got to. But everyone's come from different backgrounds, different origins, different places around Australia, and everyone's done a little bit of hard work, and it's paid off. And yeah, now we get to fly this awesome aeroplane, and the guys do a 6-ship formation display, every 2 weeks around the country, and we get to go out flying during the week. It's just brilliant. So yeah.
I think it's fabulous. I think it's fabulous. And everybody talks about, the Roulettes were there. The Roulettes were there, So I think it's wonderful. And I think we need that, like we've got a lot of, I won't say all influencers are bad, but we've got a lot of like the whole star-studded crap that we get on TV and, and all the stuff on social media. I think it's really healthy, for people to admire something that's really patriotic and really, I don't know, doing a good thing for our country. So I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, thank you. And that means a lot. And when we do have people that respect that and respect the work that goes into it, it's great to see as well. And we get to get out and meet the people. And yeah, it's not star-studded like the people off TV or anything like that, but yeah, you do feel like a little bit of a celebrity walking around the air shows and stuff like that. But that's a very distinct group of people that love airplanes, and they love to see the Roulettes because it is a pretty special display. So
yeah, well, that was where I met you. I'm in love with airplanes. I just can't get enough of them. I run outside every time an airplane goes over just to have a look at it and have a guess at what it might be, but I'm not that good at guessing. But and I met you at the Sale Air Show, and I think that's one thing that I found with the whole group of you is how relatable you were. I think that you can be something spectacular, and you can be quite stuck up, and quite sort of full of yourself because you're doing something that, well, hardly anyone else can do. And you guys are not like that. And I was pleasantly surprised that every single one of you had a great sense of humor and was very, very relatable, and I think that makes a hell of a difference.
Yeah, that's right. And, at the end of the day, this is a job for us. So we want to, do the best that we can, and we go to work and we work as hard as we can. But at the end of the day, once the job's finished, we are at the moment, 7 normal guys who go out for dinner and like to have a beer and catch up and have a bit of a laugh. And, we've got to remember exactly where we came from, We're all just normal people that, came from normal backgrounds. We weren't, forced into this situation, or it wasn't an opportunity that was just there for the taking. Everyone had to do that hard work to get there. So everyone's got that, I guess that level of where they think of where they actually came from, and remember that, because, when we're talking to people of the public, we're really no different. We've just been lucky to end up in the position that we're at these days.
Yeah, I love it. Well, thank you for being like that. I think it's great. You're talking about everyone coming from a different background, and so tell us about your childhood. Like, were you mad keen on planes when you were a kid?
Yeah, so for me, it was I think it must have been about 1999 or 7. And I reckon my parents took me to the Avalon Air Show. So my dad, he loved the fighter jets, the F-111s and all the loud noises that would go on. So he started taking us there as little kids, 10, 11 years old. And at that moment, I thought, wow, how cool is that? What an awesome job that would be. And it was kind of something that I'd always had in the back of my head. Yeah, I want to be a pilot. I want to be a pilot. And I remember my first ever flight on an Ansett flight. And, I got to go up into the cockpit because you're allowed to do that in those days.
Yeah.
And it was just, that was it. That was for me. That was, hey, I want to do this one day later on in my life. And funnily enough, though, when I went through high school, it just fell off the radar. And I didn't really apply myself in year 12. I didn't do the right subjects and I didn't chase my dream. I was too busy, and nothing wrong with this, but I was having a great time at school. I loved going out on the weekends and I was playing footy every weekend and socializing. So for me, I wasn't thinking about a career or anything into the future. So I'm a little bit different to a lot of the guys where they've gone straight from high school, or some of the guys have done a couple of years directly after high school before getting into the Air Force. I was 10 years later. So a little bit different. And I had a completely different career before I finally made a decision to chase up a dream and see how I went.
Yeah. So you became an electrician. You did your electrical apprenticeship. And yeah, so I've done my research. And was there a point? Do you think it was just maturity? Do you think that dream was always in you? And that boys go through that extremely immature stage, where it's all about the boys and footy and drinking and that sort of stuff. And do you think you sort of hit a point, in your late 20s when you said, this isn't me. I really need to chase that dream that I originally had when I was a kid.
Yeah, well, to be honest, I think when I came out of high school, I was probably a little bit lost. I didn't know, I had the dream of being a pilot, but I just thought, like everyone else, I thought that's unachievable. That will never, ever happen. Plus, I'd never done the right subjects. So I think following high school, I started doing a bit of plastering, and I did that for about 6 weeks. And I thought, oh, this is an all right job. I reckon I could do this. This is enjoyable. And I remember my mum at the time, and she was like, no. You've got to at least go to university. You've got to do something for, you just finished your VCE. So I went along to university and I did sport and outdoor recreation. And I did that for 18 months, which was to eventually become a primary school teacher. After university, I decided, hey, what a cool thing to do. I might go travel the world. And, I think I was thinking about going to Canada to work in the snowfields or something like that. At which point that never really eventuated. So I was kind of, I think I was just doing some part-time work and I got offered the apprenticeship of a window maker. So working in a factory every day and building windows basically. And I thought, that'll be all right. Maybe I'll give that a go. So I'd accepted the job with those guys. And the next thing, someone from the footy club I was playing at said, hey, if you want an electrical apprenticeship, I reckon we can organise you one. So I thought, electrical sounds pretty good. I get to work outside, it's a little bit different work each day. I'm not in a factory. Thought, yep, let's give that a go. So off I went and into the electrical field and did a 4-year apprenticeship. And then I found myself kind of running my own business. 2012, I think, was my first year out of my apprenticeship. And just working for myself and some builders that I knew. And life was good. I was happy. I was earning some good money and working all over the state. Not all over the state, but all over, the Mornington Peninsula where I was from. And it was something different every day. So I was actually quite enjoying it.
But what changed?
But what changed was I'd been doing the electrical there for 5 years. And I was working on a job one day. And at the time I was 25 years old. And I was up in a roof and, and there's probably possum poo up there and, rat traps and covered in insulation and it's hot and sweaty. And I remember being up there and I was with a guy who was, the same age, sorry, not the same age. He was 50 years old. So he was double my age. And I remember thinking to myself, do I want to be doing this in 25 years time? Because, he's 25 now. He's 25 years older than me now. And he's on the same wage, same hours, and doing the exact same work. It's kind of like that C-bus ad, but not, we were the same thing. Yeah. And I thought, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. So not that there was anything wrong with the job or anything like that, but I just thought, what else can I do? What would be better career? Anyway, I went home that night and I think I was having a chat to my dad. And of course, as I said before, he was right into the fighter jets and stuff like that. And he said, well, you've always wanted to be a pilot. Give it a go. And I thought, I've got no hope. Like, I'm now 8 years post high school. I never did the right subjects. Like, this is silly. It's a waste of time. And he said, what have you got to lose? Honestly, what have you got to lose? So I did. I went on the Defence Force recruiting website and put in all my details, and I kind of forgot about it. And I think I went away to America for a couple of weeks or whatever, and I came back after the holiday, and I got a phone call from Defence Force recruiting, and they said, "Hey, we'd like you to come in and do an interview." And I thought, "Oh, all right, no worries. We'll see how we go." But I don't think I'm going to get very far. And sure enough, I went in, and the first day was basically just basic aptitude testing, where what they do is they put every single candidate who comes into Defence Force recruiting, and they do some basic testing throughout the day, and then at the end of the day, you get given a list of jobs. Hey, we think you'd be suitable in these roles. And luckily for me, that day I actually got the tick for pilot. I thought, oh, okay, this is all right. Yeah. So the next step after that was to go back and do pilot specific aptitude testing. And so I think I did a little bit of study. I was trying to, put my best foot forward and everything. And a couple of months later, I went in, and the aptitude testing happened on the day. And I think there was 5 of us. And at the end of the day, we're sitting there, and this, the Air Force officer came in and said, "Oh, you and you, with me, and then the other 2 downstairs." And I think I was one that got sent downstairs, and I was like, "Oh, well, I guess this is the end of it. They're going to take us out and say, hey, shake your hand, say thanks for coming along, but yeah, no good." And he took us downstairs and said, "Hey guys, congratulations, you've met the standard. You guys have actually passed, so we're going to take you on to the next step." And I was kind of just standing there, like, scratching my head, thinking, what is going on here? This is right. But anyway, still not there yet. So that was, I think this was now about 2013. So, still probably only about 6 months into the application process. And the next step was about 6 months later, which was an assessment day, whereby I had to go and actually have an interview with an Air Force officer. I think I saw a doctor that day for the medical, and a psychologist. And at this, I'm still thinking, well, I've got no hope here, but in the back of my head, I'm thinking, what have I got to lose? At the time, I've got a full-time job as an electrician. I've always got that to fall back onto. And if it doesn't work out, well, it doesn't work out. Give something else a go. Sure enough, I got through that day, all good. Yep, you've been assessed as good to go. You're competent. You're medically, you passed. Psychologically, yep, you probably just scraped through. But on I went, and I got sent up to Tamworth at the time for some flight screening, which is where they basically just put you in an airplane for 10 flights and see how you go. And I'd never flown before. It was all new to me. It was a brand new experience, and I seemed to do all right on that as well. And next thing, I got offered a job. So it was just like, for me, it just happened. It was a long process. It was drawn out about over 2 years, but it was just like one step to the next step to the next step. And it was just to give it a go. What have you got to lose? And here I am now.
Oh,
so
I love that. And I love really that I reckon when you're in the flow, every door opens as it should. You're not greeted by closed doors when you're actually in the space you're supposed to be in. And I love it. I think your dad's bloody very wise. What have you got to lose?
Exactly. What have you got to lose? And there's another little part to that story as well, Karen. So in 2012, I was playing football, and we had a guy at the football club. His name was Jake Rolls, and he was an absolute legend of the footy club. Great player, but just a better all-round bloke. Now, I think it was back in 2010, he got diagnosed with cancer. He copped a melanoma, and he got it cleared up, and we all thought he was on the right track. And I can't remember the timeline exactly, but about 6 months later, it came back, and it attacked his body quite hard. And the whole footy club rallied around him, and there's fundraisers, and just watching this guy fight for his life was so it was just amazing to watch and inspiring. He and his family, who are also just a fantastic family, they set up a fundraiser saying whatever it takes, because they were going to do whatever it takes to get him through his battle with cancer. Now, unfortunately, August 2011, he passed away. He lost his battle, but he fought to the last day. An absolute legend. Now, that year, our reserves team won the grand final, and the year after, our seniors team, we said our motto for this year is whatever it takes. We're going to do whatever it takes. And we went ahead that year, and we actually won the grand final in 2012, just playing a bit of local footy. But that motto has stuck with me since that day. And just remembering him and the inspiring person that he was, of whatever it takes, just do whatever it takes to get to where you want to be, and just give it a go. So yeah, that's a little bit of a side story from him.
I might have to write those down as a few get off the bench mottos. I think it's fantastic, and it's I guess the other part to that is too with that guy. It's it really hits home that life's too short.
Absolutely. He was early 20s, and out of nowhere he was fit, he was healthy, he was at the gym all the time, he loved to have a good time, and suddenly he just got struck down with this awful cancer, and but to his credit, he fought so hard, and that's just something that'll stick with me forever, whatever it takes.
Yeah. And I think that when you really want something, it's not, things don't just fall in your lap. Like that's a very entitled attitude, just to think, it'll fall in my lap. But if we really want something bad enough, we've got to put in the effort. We have to invest, to get something out of it. So
exactly right. Yeah. I remember when, obviously when my dad said, just apply for the Defence Force recruiting, the pilot job on the Defence Force recruiting site. And I'm thinking, I need physics, I need all these maths and, sciences and all sorts of stuff. And I went on there and I was actually surprised by what I needed to provide to them as what I'd done 8 years ago at the time in high school. And it was just, if I can tick those boxes, then off we go. So, and I luckily ticked the boxes.
But there's a lot of training in the RAF, though, isn't there? In any of the Defence Forces, like you can come in sort of not knowing much, and they're very intensive with their training, aren't they?
Absolutely,
I think,
that's the idea. They take someone like myself off the street who's got no aviation experience. I'm talking pilot role here, but this is a broad, so many different roles that they would do this for, but this is obviously what I've got my knowledge in. So they will take someone off the street who's never flown before, and 2 years later is the rough timeline. You'll come out with a pair of pilot's wings, and off you go to an operational squadron. And the thing is, you're just thrown in the deep end. So back onto training courses on the various aircraft that you'll fly, but you'll find yourself traveling around the world, off on deployments, all sorts of things. So it is don't get me wrong, it's a lot of hard work, and looking back on it now, it's a lot of fun, but at the time it wasn't fun, if you know what I mean, because you are working so hard.
If you stop being a roulette, you'll be a great recruitment advertising guy.
Well, it's a little bit of my job this year as Roulette 7, so that's it. It's to get around and talk to people and tell the story, and let them know that, hey, it's achievable, just give it a go. And it's just funny how many people, when they hear that you're a pilot and you say, I'm a pilot in the Air Force, and they think, wow, and that's just a job. Okay, so yes, and we've done the hard work, but so many people say to me, I was going to do that when I finished year 12, or I really wanted to do that, but I never did it. And I say to them, well, why don't you? Why don't you do it now? Like age is probably most limiting for a lot of people, but defensive, I think they've just increased that to late 30s. You can now apply for pilot, but there's just so many people that say, I wanted to do that, I should have done that. And I kind of just think, why didn't you? You should have just given it a go. And if you didn't get through, or you didn't pass or anything, what have you got to lose? You've probably just got some pretty cool memories.
Yeah, bloody. I went to apply for the Navy when I was younger. Yep. My sister and I thought, I'm going to be a driver, and I can't remember what she thought she was going to be. I don't know what the hell we were thinking, because that's right. I know what happened. We went in there and we thought it was 3 years, and then when we found out it was 6 years, we both looked at each other and went, nah.
Yeah.
Forget it.
Yeah. Well, I must admit, it is a bit of a turn off to hear, that you committed for such a long period. Like for myself, it's 11 and a half years. Wow. So I when I was first signing up, and people would say to me, I can't believe you're going to sign up to a job for 11 and a half years. That's crazy. But I also kind of thought to myself, and I was around a lot of tradesmen and people like that with the footy club and all my mates. And I was like, well, yeah, but if you're a plumber now, what are you going to be doing in 11 and a half years? Yeah. More than likely, you're still going to be a plumber. Yeah. You might have a different job or a different boss, but still going to be a plumber. And that's the thing with the Air Force. It's like, well, I'm a pilot, and yes, I'm here for 11 and a half years. I don't have the freedom to leave and go and move wherever I like, but it's different jobs in those 11 and a half years. This is already my 5th location, and kind of third different job, I would say. So Yeah,
Wow.
it's not 11 and a half years of doing the exact same thing. So yeah.
Well, and that 11 and a half, well, if you're lucky and nothing happens to you, and I don't mean you, everybody, that 11 and a half years is going to pass anyway. So we might as well be doing something we bloody love in that time.
Exactly.
Because, there's nothing worse than, like you say, I should have. I hear with my training, with the stuff that I do too, is all the time I hear, I wanted to, I wish I had have, I should have, and I just think, if you still can, do it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and it's not just about the Defence Force. It's not just about being a pilot. But if you've got an aspiration to be a firefighter or a policeman or a doctor or a nurse, like, you've got absolutely zero to lose. And that's the thing. Financially, it might affect you a little bit, but fingers crossed, everything goes well, and you're going to come out and you're going to be a much happier person with a better lifestyle as well. I really enjoyed being an electrician. It was good fun, and I worked with some great people. We had a lot of laughs and a lot of fun, but it was just more so, do I want to be doing this in 25 years for me? And there would be days where, it was a Sunday afternoon and I'd be thinking, oh, I've got to get up tomorrow morning at 5:30 and drive to the other side of the city and pull cables all day, and then finish at 3:30, sit back in traffic and drive back home. And sometimes I would dread work, not all the time, but on a Sunday, sometimes I'd be like, oh, a lot of people, it's with a lot of people, and that's the way it is when going to work, because we love our freedoms and our weekends. But now I don't have that feeling anymore. If I've got something on a Monday, I'm looking forward to it. It's like, oh, wow, I get to go out flying tomorrow, and I get to go, down to the coast and do some aerobatics. It's good fun. So yeah, that's changed my perspective on things and the way that I see a Sunday now.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people have those Sunday blues, but it's so important to do work you love. And it might not be a job, like it might just be volunteering, or it might be, having some candle making or whatever it is. Like, it's so important to have that joy in your life, because 9 to 5 grind in a job you hate, that's going to kill you. And I don't mean to be so bloody blunt about it, but the stress and the unhappiness, it's not a good place to be. It really isn't.
No, that's right. And life's too short as well. Like,
it is.
Going back to my friend who passed away, you just don't know what's around the corner and what's going to happen. So why not make the most of it and just do what you want to do? And it's not saying that things are always going to work out in your favor and it's going to be a really smooth process to get to where you want to be, but give it a go. Have a change. Yeah,
absolutely. When you were talking in there about you driving through the traffic, so that's another thing too, is thank God that this hybrid workplace has started to happen, and some people don't have to keep driving. Sitting in the traffic's dark, and there's a lot of people who absolutely panic flying in an airplane, and I get it. I get why they do it. It's this bloody little aluminium tube up in the sky or whatever it is. And I get that. And for most people, like the aerodynamics, I don't know how the hell those two engines keep me up there. It's scary. But in actual fact, and I don't know what the research is, but I do know that it's far safer to fly in an airplane than it is to drive on the roads. And do you ever, like, you fly and you drive, and when you drive, you live, I know where you live out in the country here, and with where I am, and it's like we don't get much traffic on the roads. It's really not much of a problem. But, you're talking about city traffic. Do you sit in the traffic and think, oh, shit, I wish I was in my plane?
Yeah, well, it's a lot easier because you go straight. There's no roundabouts, no traffic lights, that type of stuff. But yeah, I guess it's a completely different world out there. It's 3 dimensions. Up, down, left, right. There could be traffic there, but it's just so heavily regulated with air traffic services and stuff like that. That's why it is so safe. There's radar, people can see where everyone is and stuff like that. Hopefully you don't have drunk drivers up there, and stuff like that. So it's a different workplace, that's for sure.
I did interview the guy that parachuted into Elizabeth. Oh crap! Why am I forgetting it? Elizabeth Taylor's wedding. And he was a pilot, and he talked about drunk pilots. So I'm not sure that there's no drunk pilots up there.
Yeah. Hey, look, I'm sure it's happened before. That's for sure. There's no booze buses either. So
it'd be cool. So when you're up there, like that, I remember going in a submarine once, and I'm scared of underwater, but I went down in this submarine, and it was not a Navy submarine. It was just one of those touristy submarines. And as I went down, I felt sick. But then once I got underneath, it was incredible. You know, it was a whole other world. And I know when I'm up in a plane, and you get above the clouds, it's just this whole other world. But do you ever, like, I know you've got to fly fast, but do you ever look down and have a bit of a sticky beak at what's going on the ground?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, like if we're not looking out for birds and other airplanes, then yeah, definitely we're looking down at the ground, seeing what's going on, looking at the traffic jams, and if we go for a flight along the coast, we look at people on the beach and try and give them a bit of a wave and stuff like that. But that's the best thing at the moment is flying this airplane. It's just the freedom, and being able to do. Don't get me wrong, it's very regulated, and what we do a lot of training and stuff like that. But we get to fly across the country and to these different locations, and it's a bit of freedom, and it's a bizarre feeling when you're up there by yourself and you're in this, pretty awesome airplane, and it's just you. So, we still follow all the rules and do all that type of stuff. But it's a lot of fun and very interesting.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, every time, because I only lived like a couple of roads away from where from the rough base, and I am, as I said, I'm in love with the Roulettes. So every time I hear it, there's my boys. And I run outside. So now I'm feeling really fantastic because I get out there waving. Think, they can't. My partner says, stop getting out there waving. They can't bloody see you. And now tonight I'm going to say, yes, they can. And I bet Ben's waving at me.
Well, it depends where you catch me. If I'm just taking off, maybe not. But if we're coming in low level and someone's out there waving a red scarf or something, who knows? We might see him for sure.
All right, I'm going to get my red scarf. Well, I'm on a farm. So you often do circle around over my farm. So I'm going to get out there with my red jumper and start wagging it. I love it. So, when you're talking about, we're very disciplined and we're very regulated and that kind of stuff, how do you, I want to talk about disorientation, like, because I know it's all very well that everything's sort of when you're flying straight, when you're flying not doing loops and everything, I can understand that's a good feeling. All this upside down business and roundabout, and I watched one of your planes the other day out near the Kilmany tip, and just dive completely down, then come back up again. And I was watching it, and I always have a little bit of a heart attack. It's like, oh my God, I hope they're okay, and then they come back up again. When you're doing all those aerobatics, where it's upside down, around about and flipping, and I know you do spirals and that kind of stuff. How do you not get disoriented?
We train for it. So one of the things we'll do before we actually go into the heavy aerobatics, I guess, the more advanced ones where we are a little bit out of control, not out of control, but you might be in a spin or something like that, is we'll actually train for it. So what will happen is we'll have an instructor in the back seat, and they'll basically say, okay, I want you to close your eyes, and you close your eyes. And then what they'll do is they'll put the airplane at a 90-degree angle, maybe upside down, or, completely facing the sky. So you can't see anything but the sky. And we get trained to, at that point, we open our eyes and we look around, wonder where we're going, what's happening. And we go back to our instruments. So inside the airplane, work out exactly what's happening, what's our airspeed doing, where are we in relation to the horizon, and then we just recover from there. So we get the aircraft back to a safe state, I guess, where we're comfortable and we know that we're flying safely. And then from that, once we go into the aerobatics, it's a lot of preparation before you go into an aerobatics flight, and the initial training as well of visualizing what you think you're going to see. So for example, a loop, we know that as we pull up for a loop, which is just going to be straight up, so we know that we're going to see the horizon disappear under our nose into blue sky, and then as we come back over the top of the loop, we're going to be looking straight at the earth, basically. And it's just training and visualization and preparing for what we expect to see. And there's times when you are doing certain aerobatics, for example, stall turns, where that's where the aircraft goes up to 90 degrees nose up, and then we turn over the top before we come back down. There are times where we do that where it doesn't always work out as planned, and we'll fall out from the top, and basically you kind of you're going so slow at that point, you enter a little bit of a spin, and it's back to that initial training of, okay, I'm looking at the ground, my airspeed's increasing, I need to get my nose up towards the horizon. But that training is used once we get into those stall turn situations or something similar where it might not work out exactly as planned.
Wow. Yeah, see, I would be like, I don't know how your brain, like, I think that some people's bodies biologically can't handle that kind of stress. You know, like, I don't know. I don't know whether.
I don't know. It's a hard one because, like I said, I'd never done any flying going into it, into the job. So I didn't really know how I was going to react either, and what would happen. But I guess maybe roller coasters and maybe riding motorbikes and as a kid and stuff like that. I didn't mind doing that stuff. So when I went on to pilot's course, I didn't get sick or anything like that. Don't get me wrong, we come back after a Christmas break and you go out and you pull 4 or 5G, you're not feeling too flash by the time you get back on the ground. And especially if I'm, with the roulettes as well, in the backseat of one of their flights, where you're not flying yourself, that's when you start to feel a little bit ordinary because it's not you that's bringing on the onset of G or the turns. And it's like, driving a car. If it's not you that's driving, it's you don't feel as flash. But like I know a guy on pilot's course who went through similar course to me, and I think for his first 20 odd flights, he was throwing up pretty much every single flight. Wow. So, but your body just slowly adapts to it, and the G as well, your body just adapts to that, and your tolerances build up really well. So we just kind of get used to it, I guess. Yeah, but you're exactly right. We meet people at shows and they say, "Oh, I could never do that. I just can't get in an aeroplane, or I don't like being upside down, or not knowing where I'm going, or I'm claustrophobic." And it's I don't know. It's just the training, and it's just, I guess we have to do it. If we don't do it, well, then we can't do our job.
Yeah, that's right. I was working with an aviation company, just doing some training and stuff, and they took me into the back of one of the planes they were working on. And I can't think what the guys are called, avionics. I think an avionics engineer.
Avtechs maybe, or avionics technicians, or
I think that's what. And what they do is they do all the electronic gear. But they showed me where a guy sits in the back and they plot out everything and they put it all into a computer, and then the pilot just flies because they don't have to. It's just all automated, it just all does it. When you do all your formation stuff, is there any automation in that, or is it complete hands-on?
Yeah, complete hands-on. So when we do a formation flight, all we are doing is constantly moving our power. So adjusting our power for our basically in 3 planes of where we sit to the aircraft next to us. So how far forward, how far high, high in comparison, and then how close. So our power moves us back and forth. And then we've got our control stick, which is moving us up and down, and left and right moves us closer to that aeroplane. So no automation at all. And it's all just, you basically aren't looking out the front of your airplane. You're just staring at the airplane next to you. And we've got some certain cues that we line up. And once we can see those cues, we know that we're in the right position. And the goal is from there, just maintain that position just through your hands and feet, basically.
God, because you're so close.
Yeah, you're 3-4 meters apart. So as soon as that aircraft starts to turn, if they start to turn towards you, obviously you've got to be onto it straight away, and you just want to maintain that picture. So that just means that you need to adjust your aircraft to maintain that picture.
Wow.
Yeah. So, if we're doing a transit somewhere, we'll spread out. It's not always 3 or 4 meters apart. We'll certainly spread out because that gives us more brain space, allows us to look inside the cockpit more. And at that point, you can put your autopilot on and, sit there and relax a little bit. But once you're in close and tight formation, no automation.
Wow. Cool. I just find it absolutely amazing when you're talking about sitting there right next to somebody, and they just turn. Does Roulette 1 say turn everybody 35 degrees? Like, are they giving instructions that you are all following, or?
Yeah. So when the Roulette guys, when Roulettes 1 to 6 are doing their displays, I actually carry a little radio with me, and you can listen to Roulette 1, Squadron Leader Mark Koretz. And he calls everything that's coming up. So if they're about to pull up into a loop, he'll say, for loop, pulling up, And at that point, you know, the whole team knows, okay, he's pulling up, so I'm about to pull up. But these guys have done that much training that they know the sequence like the back of their hand.
Yeah.
So they know exactly, okay, we're about to do a loop. It's just his verbalization at that point. All right, now is when I'm going to do the loop. So no one's left behind, sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And if he feels that he is needs to increase his turn, you know, he'll say tightening, or if he decreases his turn, he'll say easing, and he calls all the changes of formation. So yeah, he's constantly on the radios, just giving the other 5 roulette guys just that awareness of exactly what's going to happen and when.
Oh God, what about trust? You know, we talk about, like, I do a lot of team building, and I talk about trust, and we do trust stuff, and it's certainly not catching each other, you know, that kind of shit, because nobody wants to do that. That puts everyone off.
Yeah.
However, this is a whole different level of trust. You know, like when you're in a team like you are, your lives are at risk every second, and it's not just every minute; it's every second, because one foul swoop, you know, and the whole team's taken it. How do you train for trust? Like, you don't have to give me all the RAF secrets, but like, do you do a lot of trust work?
Sorry, my light's just gone off.
Yeah, you've just turned into a silhouette.
Yeah.
It's kind of talking about trust, and then you've just turned into this.
I'm back. Trust. So I guess the trust comes from the training that we do from day one. So I remember going through pilot's course, and, you know, I had my ups and downs on pilot's course. I failed a couple of flights here and there. And someone made a really good point to me whilst on pilot's course. They said, when people, you know, because sometimes if you fail a flight, for example, you might not necessarily agree that you should have failed that flight. But what they're doing throughout pilot's course is deciding, if I'm in a horrible situation one day and I'm flying side by side with this person in the cockpit, will I be able to trust them to back me up and help me get out of that situation? So it's kind of something that starts at day one. And we know that, you know, once you've met that standard of graduating pilot's course, that you have shown and demonstrated that you're a competent pilot. The stuff that comes with the roulettes is at completely next level. So they go out and they'll do 6 weeks of basically flying twice a day. But all of these guys have got so much experience in the aeroplane as well that they are extremely competent already. Now they just need to work as a team in a 6-ship formation. And the thing is, they can't all go and assess each other and sit in each other's cockpit and say, oh, do I trust this guy? Do I not trust this guy? Because you just can't do that. There's only 2 seats in the aeroplane. But it's just that process of, from day one, pilot's course, they've graduated pilot's course, they've been out on the line in operational squadrons flying different airplanes. Like, they've got the awareness, they've got the skill, they've got the aptitude required, and then they come onto this airplane and there's a whole heap of workup. So they have to tick so many boxes along the way before they actually get to this stage of becoming a roulette pilot, that it's like, yeah, we know that we have to trust this person. And as well as that, there's a lot of briefing, so briefing and debriefing, and it's honest. So there's no fluffing or anything like that. In the debrief, they talk about in the pre-brief, they talk about exactly what they're going to do, the procedures they're going to fly, and what it should look like, what everyone should see. When they come back from a flight, they sit down, and as 6 at the moment, you know, good mates, they will talk through all their sequences, and they're honest with each other. And if they say, I think you did this a little bit skew today, or you're a little bit tight, or you came in too hot on your rejoin, they bring that up, because that will mean that in the next flight, hopefully that pilot is thinking, yeah, okay, I'm going to take this one a little bit easier. But yeah, it's just honesty and just good feedback to one another following that flight.
Wow. And so you're talking about 6 of them, and you're number 7. So what is do you, like, I know that you do enroll in roulette number 7, you go everywhere with them, like you go to all the shows, you do all that sort of stuff, but you also do like promotional work, and you're sort of like the spokesperson for the team. Do you, if someone's sick, do you then take a spot, or if one leaves, do you then progress in? Is it sort of a
Look,
succession thing?
honestly, I wish it was like that, because I would love to be out there with the team. But no, for me, this is a bit of a developmental posting. So I'll probably do this job for about 2 years with the idea of going on to instructor's course following this.
Yeah.
So all of the guys that are currently in the team, they've already done this. They didn't do Roulettes 7, but they've done the instructor's course. Then they've gone out and been an instructor on the PC-21, which is the aircraft that the Roulettes fly. And then after that, then they can look at getting into the actual roulette team. So they've got thousands of hours experience on this aeroplane. I've only just started flying it this year with the idea of traveling around with the team. I get to do some awesome flying. I get to travel around the country, but I also get my experience up on the PC-21. And then, I do a whole heap of behind the scenes stuff as well. So I'm there organising, speaking with airshow organisers, making sure that the accommodation's booked, the cars are good to go, so that when we get there to a location, things are easy. That's the plan. Do this for a couple of years and then step into instructing, get my experience up. And then, one day, potentially, I'll be able to step into the roulettes. But when you talk about, if someone goes sick or someone leaves, unfortunately not, because that would require me to know 6 different positions.
Yeah.
Which obviously would be impossible. So it's they talk about spare roulette personnel and stuff like that, but you would need an entire new team, because if roulette 4 goes sick, he flies very specific positions, and at certain points he'll turn left, whereas roulette 3 might turn right. So if you're crossing people over and they're muscle memory, or they're not thinking for a second, they potentially go the wrong way, and it just brings up a whole heap of unnecessary risk, basically.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. So what about distraction? You're talking about, they're not thinking straight. Like you said, we're all just normal guys. We all just live a normal life. We like to go out and have a beer, that kind of stuff. Now, there's a great saying, in most businesses, to leave your baggage at the door. Don't bring all your shit to work. If you're normal people with normal things going on, and people get sick, and you're stressed about your kids and, your parents, and that sort of stuff. Is that part of your training as well, that you just got to leave that stuff at the door because it's too dangerous to bring into an airplane?
But if you've had a horrible night's sleep, if you've got personal circumstances going on at home, if your wife's not well, your mum's not well, and you come into work, no one would doubt you, question you, or say you need to go and do this. At the moment, we're in a training environment, and it's pretty good at the moment. It's more so about the people and making sure they're right, and making sure, one of the checks they always tell us to do before we go flying is basically ask yourself, are you okay? Are you fit? Are you healthy? Did you get a good night's sleep? Have you eaten? Have you drank enough water today? Because if you're not safe to fly, what's the point? All you're doing is potentially putting other people's lives at risk. So there are times when you need to, really leave some issues that are going on at home, because you can't, let's be honest, people have got issues going on all the time. And you go out there, and for those 2 hours, you're completely focused on your job and you're flying, and you kind of just forget about it. But don't get me wrong, you come back, and that's the first thing that you need to go and deal with. But it's good at the moment, everyone in the team's got young kids, so everyone's going through the same processes. Everyone understands it. And we've got a bit of an understanding between each other of, late nights, early finishes, and days off, and time with family. So we try and make that a priority, so that, we've got a really, really good work-life balance.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. I think that takes a skill to leave your shit. I sang for many years, had my thyroid out, can't sing anymore, but on stage, I had that skill, where I could, doesn't matter what was going on in your life, you'd step onto that stage and you would completely shut everything off. And I think that I agree with you. I think that is a real muscle building skill that you develop. I know some people just can't do it, but I think they love the attention. But it's kind of like you have to, if you're some jobs you just have to.
It's resilience, and that's something that's drummed into us very early from military training. Is resilience. Things aren't always going to go your way, and you're not going to have a great night's sleep, and you might not you might be having an argument at home, or someone might not be doing the best around you, but you constantly need to stand up, and you need to be there. And look, at the end of the day, if it's unsafe, if it's an unsafe situation, we don't need to push ahead with that. But you do need to push through hard times, and that's something that, you know, even through pilots course, you know, we go through, and it was kind of it would happen naturally, because each day would be the next flight, the next sequence, and you may have had a horrible flight the day before, but they're not going to say to you, oh well, you've had a stinker of a flight yesterday, we'll give you the next few days off to recoup. You know, it's straight back into it, because they need to they need to get people through the course, but B, they need to demonstrate as well that they do have that resilience, and they can, people make mistakes and they stuff up and whatnot, but the next day they can go back out and do it all again and hopefully improve. So,
well, it's the only way you build your confidence and your competence, isn't it? Just practice, practice.
Yeah. And the best thing you can do is just give it a go. Like, you know, what we spoke about before, you just got to go out and, put your best foot forward, and there's not much else you can really do apart from that preparation. So,
And what about female roulettes? Have we had any? Are there, like, why is there so few, and have we had any?
So that's a really good question. Yes, so the previous roulette 7 was Amy. She's fantastic. She did a really good job for PC21, everything like that. So she was about to step onto instructor's course, she was a very similar path to me. So she would go instructor's course, instructor, and then potentially that opens up the door for roulette later in the future. But she's pregnant, so congratulations, Amy. She's got a little bub on the way, so she's not flying at the moment. Previously, yes, we've had a female roulette, but at the moment, no, there is no. It's a male dominated environment, to be honest. But Defence are doing everything they can, and we want as many females as we can get through the doors to even it up, because there is some fantastic female pilots out there. My little take on this is I think that Defence are doing all the right things in bringing the females through. I just don't think that there is as many females out there that want to be pilots, and we can't force people to be pilots. So, but hopefully those girls that are out there that are thinking, oh, I wonder if I can do that, or no, I probably can't. Hopefully they with the, you know, everything that's happening with Defence at the moment, encouraging that, hopefully they can come through the door, because absolutely, it'd be great to have a couple of, you know, roulette females, and hopefully one day a roulette leader that's a female. That'd be even cooler. So we've got some really cool and great girls downstairs at the moment who are instructors. So they've been through their operational tours, and they've come through here on instructor course, and now they're instructing. So depending on whether they want to go back to their life flying, for example, KC-30s, which is the Airbuses, fast jets, C-17s, or they want to stay down here and sail and potentially step into the roulettes, that's an unknown at the moment. But there are definitely some really good girls down in the pipeline that maybe, fingers crossed, they'll get up here and jump in the team.
No, I think that's great. And I'm not for affirmative action in pilots, because I'm for whoever's got the bloody skill, because I don't think it's good to just be putting women in planes just because we're trying to fill numbers. But I do hope that more women sort of back themselves, and say, I could do that. So
that's exactly right. And it's back to everything we've kind of spoken about. It's just giving it a go. And it's really good to see, because we've got all the basic flight training students, they're all downstairs, and I would say the numbers now, it's probably, I'd say 30 to 40% female. Wow. So it's good. It's good to see them all coming through, and I think they're all doing pretty well and moving on to number 2 flights training school over in Western Australia. So fantastic. And I've flown with females on my previous aircraft, on the KC-30, and brilliant, competent, fantastic, lovely people, and it's good to see, but we need to get more and more in the doors.
Yeah, and there's a lot in the commercial flying, whatever you call it, commercial aviation. There's a stack of them in there, and I see a mother and daughter duo flying. I think it's Jetstar. I can't remember, but that's fantastic. That's. So I remember when I met you at the air show, I got my hat, and I won't leave it on for too long because I've got another interview soon. I'll have messy hair, but I got me. So I think this makes me, and I came back to my partner and said, what the hell have you got on? And I said, I'm now a roulette. I said, oh my God, you're an idiot. And so I guess I have a question for you, Ben. Is it, I'm only a couple of roads away. Is it possible that I could become roulette number 8? Is that?
You may need to find a pair of aviators. And then I reckon if you roll down to the front gate, they'll let you in.
All right then.
Yeah.
We're in. I was in the front gate a year last year, but I'll have to get another pass. But I absolutely love this hat, and it's it's such a beautiful hat. But I loved meeting you guys, and Ben, I've absolutely loved this conversation, and I just love your down to earthness, and you've said there's so many amazing gems in there, like life's too short, what do you got to lose, and I can't remember what your other friend said. When I play it back I'll remember, but the one that was
whatever it takes.
Yeah, whatever it takes, and it's I think what an amazing what's some really inspirational little nuggets there for people to follow their dreams, and I really want them to. I'm not proposing everyone try to be a roulette like me, but I am suggesting people follow their hearts and follow their dreams, because like you said, that 11 years, it's going to pass anyway if you're lucky. Pray to God, but it's you might as well be doing what you truly love.
Exactly. Yeah, go to work if you got to go to work every day, you might as well do something you enjoy. So
yeah, absolutely.
For sure. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Ben. I've absolutely loved this, and I hope you've enjoyed it. And
it's been great.
I tried not to delve into the RAF secrets and everything.
Yeah, my top secret clearance is probably expired by now. So who knows?
I absolutely love it. But thank you so much for joining us. And actually, where can people look up more about the Roulettes?
Yeah, so have a look at airforce.gov.au/Roulettes, defencejobs.gov.au if you're interested at all in the ADF and careers, or specifically if you want to be a pilot. Once again, just give it a go, put your name out there and see what happens. We've got Facebook and Instagram, so if you're interested in the Roulettes, have a look. And if you ever do see us out at air shows, please come and say g'day, because as you said, we're 7 down-to-earth people that love to have a chat with people in the community and say g'day, and that's our role. Our role is to bring the military to the public eye and say g'day, so that we'll always make the time and effort, and just have a chat. People who've got questions or just want to come say g'day, it's all good.
Fantastic. Well, please do, guys, because I did, and this is the result. And not that everyone can just bloody ambush them for podcast interviews, but like I did, but they are really, really lovely guys. So, Ben, thank you so very much for sharing your time with us. It's just been an absolute honour.
No worries, Karen. Thanks very much for having me.
Oh, my absolute pleasure. All right, I'll see you around. I'll wave next time.
Yeah, make sure you do.
I will. Okay, thanks. See ya.
Bye.